Tie-in games. We all know them and love them, or at least we did know them and love them. I don't really see movie or TV tie-in games besides having guest characters in games like Multiverses or Fortnite. But when I was a kid, and game development took as much time as an EA exec to hem and haw about the veggies on their Subway sandwich, tie-in games were seemingly everywhere. B-movie game, Shrek, Mario Party ripoff, fucking a live-action Dragon Ball movie that no one liked, Dragon Ball live-action PSP game. You get it. You've seen the title and the thumbnail. This is Retro Rematch, a series I want to start where I go back to old games from my childhood that I just couldn't beat. And well, you know, I beat them off. Wait. Today we're gonna tackle the not very fun and not very funny Simpsons game for the PS2. Now, there's been a bunch of Simpsons games in general, so which one is this? The title's right there. What are you, stupid? This was published by EA and developed by Visceral Studios before EA does what EA does best. I was gifted the Simpsons game by my family for my PlayStation 2, either on my birthday or for Christmas. I don't remember which because I was young and also I'm an early dementia victim, but I do remember this specific cover art of Homer being harassed by Hobbit Ralph. Fun fact, while researching stuff for this vid, the nerds on Reddit pointed out that each version of this game had different cover art depending on what platform you had it for. PlayStation 2 had Hobbit Ralph. That's the only reason why I'm confident I had that specific version. Jeez. Hobbit Ralph. Some things you'll never shake. It lurks within you.
Forever waiting for you to suddenly get curious. We all know what curiosity did to the cat, right?
I played it, I had fun, but when I reached the end, I couldn't beat the game because I couldn't beat God. And no, this isn't a JRPG, although there is a parody of that in here somewhere. You'll understand once we get there. But for now, sit back and relax. My name is FourheadWeapon, and welcome to Retro Rematch of Simpsons 2007. The game starts off with the family on the ever-iconic couch that's been, let's be honest, whored out to every other animation studio ever. But this was back in 2007. The couch is still pure of heart. Not really. That is, until we venture into Homer's wet cocoa coma, where he commits at least 2 crimes against chocolate humanity. Cocomanity? Human chocicity? There's something there. This is the tutorial. Here, I got to remember that games in the early 2000s felt weird and jank as fuck. Even more so if it's a joke budget game based off a TV show that's gone on for way too goddamn long. The movement feels awkward, and what the game calls combat feels more like someone once heard of Double Dragon in theory from an average Fenty user in the wild urban jungle of San Francisco, and thought, yeah, that's how games are. The entire game is nothing more than boring platforming and sometimes having to deal with mobs of enemies that you either ignore or you mash square and hold circle sometimes. As far as the PS2 version goes, and maybe for all the others, I don't know, the Simpsons Game of 2007, which I will now shorten to Simp Game 07, was made more for being a Simpsons episode surrounding video games and, you know, how video games affect people rather than actually being a game worth actual money. Some poor fucking minimum wage worker simp fan saw this game and thought, oh man, Homer's so funny. But then as soon as he played that game, well, later that night, minimum wage Walton ate themselves to death on pink donuts with sprinkles. What I'm trying to get at is that overall the gameplay is just mediocre and it's sometimes frustrating to play, having been spoiled by the horrors and wonders of modern gaming. This game in comparison is just not fun to play. Honestly, The best part of the game is getting to see the animated cutscenes, and after the first few levels, I was mostly pushing myself through the gameplay just to see those. Seriously, if you're ever interested in playing this game, do what you want, I'm not your dad, but also, I would just recommend going onto YouTube and just looking at the animated cutscenes. They're really a delight to see, and it was practically the only fucking thing I liked about the game. I think the only thing in the game that I like truly hated was like the comic book guy, right? There's this weird mechanic, I'm gonna show it right now, where every now and then the comic book guy would stop your game, he pauses it, right? And it's called video game cliches or some shit, and it's so fucking annoying. It's the trying way too hard to be, hello fellow gamers, look guys, I too play video games. Aren't unskippable cutscenes just the worst? Effectively digital boomer behavior. This shit wasn't funny in a comedy game, it wouldn't be funny anywhere else. It's the only thing I fucking hate. And I get it, that's comic book guy's character. He complains about stupid nerd shit and he's annoying. But why do you have to pause my game every time he comes up? There'd be moments where I got jump scared by the drawn version of me in Simpsons format, and he's bitching about double jumps. You think I want to see that? No. And here's the last good thing I'll say about, the Simp Game 07, is that the voice acting is actually pretty funny sometimes.
You should have stayed in your egg.
I think it's really cool that even for a silly little game, the Simpsons voice actors reprise their roles. Like, these aren't like knockoffs or anything, these are the Simpsons, and I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, back to the story. We corner the White Rabbit and finally end this diabetic sugar coma. Having gotten the intro over, let me tell you how this game is gonna go. There are 16 levels, or episodes as the game calls it. The premise gets introduced, we play as two of the Simpsons clan as video game parody jokes are shoved down our throats. Bars. There are collectibles unique to each simp, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not trying to 100% this. I'm just trying to run my ones back with this fuck-ass game. That's it. As soon as I beat this game and release this video, I will never think of this game ever again besides looking at my YouTube analytics like a crack fiend staring at the questionable pills at their friend's apartment complex. Now, Homer's wet dream wasn't the true start. The true start of Simp Game 07 is when Bart goes to the GameStop, or whatever the fuck it's called in this game, and gets a GTA parody game called Grand Theft Scratchy. But then, as soon as he gets out, his mom finds him and Marge takes away the game. Disappointed with no game, Bart goes down a dirty alley and suddenly from the sky, right? The video game guide for the Simp Game 07 falls into Bart's lap. Side note, y'all remember video game guides? I remember going into the GameStop at my mall and just like looking into the pictures and shit and being so excited for a game that I could never afford. I remember the GameStop employees pointing their dirty little fingers at me and saying, "You're poor." They didn't really say that. They said, "Hey kid, you gotta buy that." And I would go, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I would put away the thing. Anyways, as soon as Bart reads the game guide, just like a wushu martial artist from a Chinese comic, he suddenly gains powers from reading this ancient scroll. And he gets a corny ass superhero outfit to match with it. Now get ready, are you sitting down? Here's Bart's powers, dude. I mean it, this is like exciting shit. He gets a slingshot. I think regular Bart could do that already. He gets to glide around using his cape. That's kind of cool. It's like Batman, right? You ever play Arkham Asylum? Good game. And then he gets to climb shit. Those are his superpowers. Before the game guide, Bart in this universe could not do any of that shit. Kind of sounds like Bart's a weak little punk bitch, but that's besides the point. Homer shows up with a gun right after Bart discovers his powers. We'll never see him use that gun, by the way. That's just for shits and giggles, I guess. And then they have a little conversation, and they say like, "Oh, let's just go into the fucking sewers." True father and son moment, dude. You see, my dad took me fishing and camping. Homer shows his son nudie mags and shoot shit in the sewers, I guess. Are we sure Homer doesn't have like the Confederate flag tattooed on him somewhere?
As the cutscene points to, Bart and Homer accidentally invade the Springfield Museum and just, for whatever reason, start beating up the security guards. This is the first level where you'll have another simp be your partner. For local co-op, I assume, but you know, I'm a lonely chunky monkey who loves the Tostitos salsa verde a little too much. So, for now, it's just me. You can switch between simps depending on what you need in the moment, but you'll see during gameplay that when you're not controlling the simps, they don't fucking know how to fight. They'll just sit there and take the punishment like they're little masochistic leather-wearing freaks.
Oh, yes, Daddy.
This leads to multiple points in my playthrough where I'll need to switch to the other simp, but, you know, they got their ass beat. Luckily, the gods of gaming are merciful upon a neckbeard acolyte like I, and the dead simp will rise eventually like Jesus, straight up punching his fist into Lazarus's torso and starting his heart again manually, JoJo style. Unlike the simp, the regular enemies you'll see throughout the game do die and go to heaven. You can see their halos get raptured up there. Keep this in mind for later. This will be on the test, and if you don't remember it, you're flunking. Now, Bart's bullies are also here in the museum, and there is a reason for it why we would want to beat their ass, but I'll be honest, I accidentally skipped the cutscene, so I don't know the reason. So I'm just watching Homer and Bart have a father-son moment, hunting down these bullies like suddenly this ain't Simp Game 07, this is Cabela's Hunt 07. Now, I'll be honest, there were probably some jokes in here, but I was so desperate to finish the level, I wasn't even paying attention to it. So don't comment something like, bro, the game is actually hilarious if you pay attention. I already said it before, I'm not here to spend actual time on this game. I'm just trying to come and go like I'm fucking an escort and she's charging me per minute. Most of the playthrough, the only jokes I was like paying attention to were the visual ones and the ones in the cutscenes. I could not, and I cannot stress this enough, be fucked enough to listen to 6 hours of simps doing political and video game commentary. If I wanted that, I would melt my brain watching Bosch be ass at video games while discussing the finer points of whether or not it's okay to find children attractive because somehow me owning a phone that is necessary to participate in society is as bad as owning metric fuck tons of Little Caesars cheese pizza. Man, Yakuza fucking wishes it could have this type of pure and raw beat 'em up combat. Now, I'll be honest, right? Even though so far I've been negative, and I'm gonna be honest, the more this video continues, I'll be even more negative. I will have to give the Simp Game 07 its flowers where it's due. The level design is genuinely, right, pretty to look at. It's a nice design. There was an obvious caring hand here. I don't like the jokes, I don't like the gameplay, but if there was one thing that I genuinely enjoyed besides the animated cutscenes like I said earlier, it was the levels. These were nice to look at. I mean, look at this planetarium type deal, right? You could argue, oh man, it's simple, it's, you know, what else would you expect from a planetarium type level? I don't care. I think the colors are nice to look at. I think the way that the planets are spinning are super nice. Just overall, right, there will be other levels throughout the game where it's a nice vibe. It is genuinely a nice vibe. And that's probably the last nice thing I'll say. So the planetarium is the last part of the museum level. We get to the bully, we beat his ass, and then we finally get a reason as for why the bullies are in the museum. So, hey, looks like I didn't need that cutscene after all, huh? Principal Skinner comes in and he explains that he hired the bullies to steal from the museum so that he could use the exhibits as quote-unquote visual learning aids in school. Jeez, I knew teachers didn't get paid much, but I didn't think even the principal would like stoop this low. What's next? Sending students to fight the homeless people at the food bank because the cafeteria is empty. Yeah, Jim, get 'em! You want your mystery stew, right, boy? We move on to the next level, which is about Homer entering a food eating competition where, for some fucking reason, Moe from the bar is his coach. If the last level just threw enemies at you, this one is way more focused on quote-unquote puzzles. Throw Homer through this, have Bart climb that. I think the only thing cool about this level is the national theme it's got going on. From Chinese fortune cookies to Mexican tacos and what I assume is fucking haggis.
Now you can call it a skill issue, but this level is where I first realized that I fucking hate Bart's stupid ass gliding mechanic. It's so finicky at times, and most of the time I fucking fly past whatever I'm trying to get to, or it's just so slow that unless you're super high up, Bart's stupid fucking multiple girlfriend fumbling face head ass will smack into the wall. Out of every gimmick the Simps have in this game, I hate Bart's gliding the fucking most. Also, maybe it's an issue with my totally real PS2, or this version of the game specifically, I don't know. But when I'm climbing poles as Bart, I can't double jump off of them like I've seen other people do in other versions of the game. So in some of this recording, you'll see me just fucking fumble it. I'll fall off a pole when I dismount it, and you're wondering, is this guy stupid? He could have made that with a double jump. And the answer is, yeah, I am dumb. Okay, but the game is also ass. So, anyways, after you make it through all the world stages of food, right? The final part of the level comes up, and it's the Lady Liberty of food. A mini boss fight, puzzle, I don't know what to call it. You hit this thing as Homer Ball, then in true American fashion, you disrespect Lady Liberty by slamming your meaty flesh against her 3 times in a row in order to get at her beef. Also, look how geeked out Choco Lady Liberty is. Kingdom Hearts was on the PS2. The first Yakuza game was on PS2. God of War was on the PS2. Look at the fucking game model, then the cutscene version. They ain't even the same fucking person. One looks like a Simpsons character, the other is if polygonal aliens came down and made their own Temu version of the Statue of Liberty. Once we eat out Lady Liberty's beef, we see that Homer has won the competition, but has lost his humanity when he gets a taste for human flesh. The next level has Bart and Lisa at Mr. Burns' logging camp. Once Lisa finds out that she has superpowers, she acts like all the other historical activists once they know they can change something. She murders people to protect the planet. Lisa's powers are that of picking stuff up with her godlike Buddha hand and using her saxophone to put enemies into a hypnotized state. BT dubs, the sax feels useless in later levels, so there's that. This level is okay. It's my second least favorite theme-wise though. It's a logging camp. There's nothing super special here besides machinery and trees and factory. I don't really have any criticism or commentary to say besides, it's fucking boring, ain't it? There's a Frogger reference, you save Homer's friends Larry and Carl, you destroy the factory, and for some reason, Mr. Burns' logo is him as Mother Nature. So there's that. After Lisa's bout of destructive activism, now it's her mom's turn. This next level is all about Marge and her power. Now, let's take a second and recap on the Sims so far that we've played. Homer turns into a big bowling ball. Bart can glide. Lisa can lift super heavy stuff using her mind. Alright? Arguably, these are all superpowers. No regular human can do this stuff without equipment or at all, right? Now, what does the matriarch of the Simp family get? Pikmin. No, I'm not kidding. Marge's whole mechanic is a very scuffed Simpson Pikmin type of deal. You walk around and yell at the everyday citizen to go and destroy shit for you. You know, maybe not Pikmin, maybe more like Overlord, if you remember that game. But why are the citizens destroying shit for Marge? Well, because the mayor's taking that sweet EA money and letting gaming corpos sell violent video games to kids. So therefore, and stay with me now, we must cost the city millions of dollars in fucking damages. Let's ignore the irony of destroying the property to disavow violent video games. And you know what? Let's keep ignoring the fact that I played this violent video game when I was a little kid.
Hey look, it's Apu. He ain't in the show anymore. I guess no one liked an educated immigrant small business owner having an accent. But you know, isn't it funny how the guy who led the campaign to get rid of Apu has fallen off? Can you even remember his name? I sure as shit can't. We successfully destroy the town and line up our angry Simpson Pikmins outside of Town Hall. I like how locked in Ned was. Fucking metal. Flanders is the only good character on The Simpsons, fight me on that. Well, I do have a special place in my heart for early Homer. Anyways, we send in Maggie to sabotage the mayor's little ditty party, and we save the day. No more violent video games. Now, maybe we can rebuild the city even better than it was before.
No. Now it's time for the Sims to argue with each other.
Oh man, all my life I wanted to be a human garbage disposal, and now I was.
Homie, don't you think you could put your new powers to better use?
Oh, like what? Eat terrorists and bar flowers? What did you do that was so great?
For your information, I rallied the town to ban a very violent video game.
Mom, if kids don't play Grand Theft Scratchy, they'll never learn real-world skills, like how to sell guns or hunt for hidden packages.
You should talk, Bart. I heard that you destroyed half the Natural History Museum, and that's my favorite place to find solace.
And while we're on the subject of yelling at each other, your little stud with the loggers has put an army of regular Joes out of work. Way to go! Way to ruin lives!
Of all the stupid fat idiots.
You wouldn't know what to do with a superpower if your name
Stop
was
being
Charles
lame.
Well, you're lame. Yeah, that's right, lame.
So as you can see, while the Simps are arguing with each other, having good old American family drama, aliens invade and they just start fucking shit up. They turn a statue to life, they make dolphins more evil than they already are, and it's just too much for the Simps in their current capacity. So, Bart and Lisa get the idea to go visit Professor Frink, which is like the town's scientist, and that's where they find it, right? The machine that takes them into the game engine. Now, the game engine serves from now on as both the main vehicle for video game parody jokes and also as the MacGuffin that will allow the Sims to once again save Springfield. You'll see no Mario and depressed slow Sonic here, along with a bunch of posters of games from around the time. Here, we meet Professor Frink, who explains that the entirety of the Sims, at least in this version, this universe, they're nothing more than a video game.
Aliens and...
Don't you understand, son? Your whole life up until this moment has been a mere video game.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
And when the two Sim children ask for help, Frink is about to give them the strategy guide, which I guess is better than the other guide Bart got at the beginning of the game. But then he gets kidnapped by a giant ape, and just like with Mario and Donkey Kong, you gotta commit some animal cruelty and get his ass back. Weird side tangent, I noticed that when I was playing the game, I heard a very familiar sound effect. If you've ever played the Fallout games, specifically like the 3D ones, 3, New Vegas, and maybe 4, I forget if it's in 4, but if you've played the 3D Fallout games, then these sounds that pop whenever Bart can grapple something will sound very familiar. So while I was playing, it kept bugging me. It would play like incessantly in some levels while I was just trying to run around and be like, you can grapple, ding, 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 ding. And it was just a little bit annoying to be like badgered and practically harassed by the fucking Fallout notification sound.
Along with not Mario and not Sonic, the enemies in the game engine levels are not Ryu and for sure NFL player. Hey, remember when EA was mostly like a sports game type of company?
EA Sports.
It's in my ass.
It was at this point in the game where not even the simple combat was fun to me. So most of the time after like the game engine levels or even during them, I was just straight running away from the enemies like I was trying to avoid a certain moment from the Boondocks.
Wait a minute. I'm white!
So now, instead of involving myself with one of the core mechanics of the game, which is beating ass, I'm just running away from people trying to focus on puzzles. Like this gear puzzle, and then this pipe puzzle that I'm ashamed to say I had to look up because I'm dumb as hell. Speaking of me being dumb as hell, there's this part where I was trying to get to this lever with Bart, and I just kept trying to brute force my way to it. I kept jumping and jumping and falling for straight up like 3 minutes, not remembering that, and say it with me now, one of Bart's powers is fucking hanging on to ledges. Which is like, why is that a Bart exclusive power? What's the game trying to tell me? Yeah, dude. Lisa's frail little liberal soft arms can't hold on to ledges. It all must be that soy, right guys? Right? Matter of fact, maybe Lisa should enter a dance competition in a movie that's against sexualizing children, but sexualizes children. That'd be so hot. I mean, artistic. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta marry a 16-year-old to prove a point. After the pipe puzzle, we finally make it to the damn dirty ape! This is a very simple boss fight. Using Lisa's new Buddha fist attack, all we gotta do is avoid the small enemies, the barrels being thrown at us, and then hit the monkey with the peaceful energies of the Buddha. Inshallah, we shall... After beating Harambe, we save the professor. Gives us the cheat guide and then proceeds to stunt on us by showing off his wife. Yes, that's right, even this fucking loser has somebody to love. It's a fucking turtle. Bart and Lisa are grossed out, but as the drunken criminal that is the local frat boy at your college would say, hey man, I'll try any ussy once. Now that we have the cheat guide, the Simps go out into Springfield to tackle the problems currently destroying the town. Call me SeaWorld because I'm about to abuse some nautical creatures for fun and profit. That's right, we're helping out Captain Horatio Peter McAllister, simply known as the Captain, by defeating the enraged dolphins before they can do what they do best. And if you don't understand what I mean, bless your poor innocent heart. We start this level on the boardwalk, beating up dolphins until just like with Professor Frink, we see the Captain get kidnapped by King Dolphin? In the cutscene before, this motherfucker did not have a crown. Bro locked in, swagged up, and went down to the fucking pawn store. Man, if we could only get some swag. Is that fucking Kratos? Just like with the big ol' ape, this is another super simple boss fight. Instead of hitting King Dolphin 3 times like we did with the ape, we need to have Lisa Buddha lift this electrical eel and then drop it into the water that we'll dunk King Dolphin into with a little slingshot from Bart. King Dolphin is now dead, and now no random fish will get used like a pocket pussy or a ball for water polo. And if you think, why the fuck did he just say that? Go Google it. Dolphins do that shit for real. Oh yeah, and the captain's safe, so yay, there's that. Also, the aliens up in here eat egg rolls? I don't get the joke. Maybe I'm dumb, but what's even the point of these little glass helmet visor thingies if these motherfuckers are just gonna put them down to eat party snacks? Is it just for dramatic effect? Is that the joke in of itself? I don't know. And I don't care anymore. Now that we took care of the dolphins, now we gotta beat a lad's ass. Lard lad, to be specific.
This giant statue has 3 panels on his back that we need to hit with Bart's slingshot and either have Bart or Homer get up high enough to rip some lard wiring out of there. Sounds simple, right? Not if you're my dumbass. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro, I spent like near a half hour struggling on this boss. I would hit the panel, but then I would get there too late, or I couldn't get up to the panels in general, or I would get there, but then I would mess up the landing and fall off. It was overall the worst boss fight I've ever done, purely because this was not a skill issue or that it was hard. Yes, you can say I'm coping, but I'm gonna say this was me fighting pure 2007 gaming jank. But I am indeed a gamer. Ladies, don't call me. I eventually beat Lard Lad, and at this point I was just eager to get to the next part and eventually the end. The most boring level is up next. The aliens are destroying the mall and they abduct local hillbilly Cletus, the guy on the screen right now. And really there is nothing special about this level. It is the same boring platforming, the same boring quote-unquote puzzles. The only thing, and I mean the only thing that I enjoyed from even experiencing this shit was seeing this devious ass fucking alien. Look at him. When we regroup with Cletus and finally rescue him, instead of going home to his family, he wants to take the time to stick something up the aliens' asses like a good old-fashioned American. Oorah. We're now in this little arena where we gotta destroy these computer screens on the wall. Homer has to become a top 500 Valorant player in order to roll up the wall and get at the computer screens. We bing, bang, boom, push this button, and also why the fuck is Sideshow Bob here? Apparently he's helping the aliens? Why? Don't question it. No, I'm not even trying to be funny or I'm trying to fuck with you. That's all they give you. Don't question it.
Try not to think about it too much. Just focus on what an unexpected treat it is to see me here. Besides, you won't live long enough to hear the convoluted explanation.
The aliens at this point just say fuck it and start blasting shit. And the Simps, once again, don't have the power to deal with this bullshit. So, it's another power-up sequence. They go to the internet to look up more of their own story, you know, like they've been doing with the guidebooks, but Homer decides to be Homer and spills his whole ass beer onto the computer, transporting them into the internet. Hey, you know what? Next time you're angry at someone on the internet and you have the thought of, if only I could hop through this fucking screen, give your computer a little drinky poo. For legal reasons, don't. Oh look, we're back in the game engine. Here we meet Will Wright, as Lisa puts it, the guy behind SimCity and Spore. Will is in the game engine destroying old versions of the Simps, or retro Simps if you will. Imagine if you saw someone killing a pixelated version of yourself. That'd be fucked up, right? And so, the Simps must rescue the retro Simps. This level is very short, and I feel like it's way more focused on putting more video game jokes in here rather than being an actual level, which is fine besides the outdated early 2000s jokes in here, like the shims. Yeah, look at that. Isn't it kind of funny how left-leaning writers from way back when were some of the most offensive people? That's when things were still funny. I don't know how to do Andrew Tate's accent. Anyway, we stop the retro Simps from becoming abandonware, and Will Wright flies off on his plum blob. Regrouping with the retro Simps, the Simps Collective discuss the very real problem in the gaming industry where companies are always chasing something new and disregarding their roots while destroying their old games, which is ironic considering this was EA published and developed. To prevent themselves from being destroyed, the Simps must meet with the creator by getting 4 key cards that exist in 4 video game parody levels. But before that, we get new powers. Homer can be this gross green jello slime type deal, which I'm sure is a reference to some episode or a movie that I don't remember or don't know about. And Lisa's Buddha fist turns into a Judeo-Christian fist by striking lightning down upon infidels. And now we're going to move on to the video game parody levels. I'm going to speedrun explaining them like I'm Cadicarus, purely because I have spent like 2 to 3 months on this video. An entire month was spent on the script, which is embarrassing to say.
And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want to move on to other creative projects, and this fucking Simpsons video has been haunting me. So, again, gonna speedrun this shit. Get ready. The first level that I did is a fantasy parody. Homer is not Link and Marge is obvious. It's so obvious, I'm sure you know what character she is without me even saying it. The Simps in this level have to rescue a bunch of not Hobbit children being attacked by Marge's sisters, who are in the form of a two-headed dragon. You gotta keep the buildings repaired using Marge while attacking the dragon as Homer. Once you're done with that, dragon flies off, and then you chase the two-headed thing into another linear level of whooping ass and puzzles. Then you gotta fight the dragon again using Homer's gross slime form. Remember when I said that there's a JRPG parody in here? Here it is. Mainly looking at Pokemon and Katamari Damacy. I fucking love Katamari Damacy. Milhouse is cosplaying as the king from Katamari, and we must defeat 3 not Pokemon and their not Pokemon trainers to get to Milhouse and get his key card. Holy fucking shit, by the way. Simpsons predicted Skibbity Toilet. Seeing this made me think, did the fuck boom creator of Skibbity Toilet get inspired by this game? Or is the idea of a head popping out of a toilet an ancient, concept? If you know, please comment, because when I tried googling this shit, all I could get was Skibbity Toilet and nothing else. The third level I did was the Grand Theft Scratchy level, a parody of GTA. You use Marge's not Pikmin powers and Lisa's Buddha powers to undo what the CIA did to urban America. I feel the need to say that Marge and Lisa are definitely not suicidal, by the way. Once Marge has finished doing her HGTV shenanigans, we reach this dog rapper, destroy his concert, and then we get the keycard for this level. Last level before the creator. Last keycard is in this Medal of Honor / Call of Duty parody. The French are immediately surrendering, and we need to destroy their white flags to rekindle their fighting spirit. A fighting spirit that apparently failed them during the Olympics. USA! USA! After that, we gotta kill Mr. Burns on a carrier out in the sea. Boom, keycard. With all 4 keycards, we can go ahead to Matt Groening's house and beat his ass. The mansion is pretty nice to look at, but there's nothing super Is that fucking Bender and Zoidberg? We keep killing Bender and Zoidberg clones until one destroys the gold in this little cutscene, allowing Homer to ramp up with Homer Ball and hit Matt Groening off his platform. We beat Matt Groening up. Also, check out Bart whiffing that shit. He's not even kicking him. He's not even hitting the hitbox. Anyways, Matt basically says he's not responsible for the aliens destroying everything. He's only responsible for selling out the Simpsons with merch and shit. Fair. Back in the real world with all the video game characters, Lisa gets the idea to build a tower to heaven in order to ask God for help with all the aliens and stuff. But when we get to heaven, William Shakespeare stops us for some fucking reason. I literally stun-locked him with Bart's slingshot. After we get into heaven, the Halo thing finally pays off. Remember that? Every character that you beat up, when they die, their halo goes up. It finally pays off here as we see all the previous enemies from past levels up here in heaven with halos over their heads. The heaven level is pretty short. I think just like me, the developers got tired of fucking making levels and doing shit for this fucking game, so they just made the last few levels super short. Anyway, it feels like a kind of victory lap as we beat Thomas Jefferson's kite flying ass, and then we finally confront God. This is it. This is the part where I just couldn't beat it as a kid, and I tried so hard, and I did it over and over and over and over, and I failed over and over and over, and I just could not do this shit, dude. So, it's embarrassing to say, but God's entire battle with you is a game of not Dance Dance Revolution. If you keep surviving, you destroy God's game consoles. Simple, right? I think the only reason why this gave me so much trouble as a kid is because I was dumb and not very coordinated. I'm still dumb, and I'm still a dumbass kid in some parts, but now I can press buttons good, and after pressing them buttons good, we defeat God and then threaten him. Fix everything or we're gonna delete your save data. And God relents because he is indeed a gamer. Ladies, don't call him. Then there's one final meta video game joke. It turns out that the whole events of the game, although it's been acknowledged in the video game engine shit, was a game, duh, but it's being played not by us, but by Ralph Wiggum, who then stands up, walks over to the TV screen, and stares into our very soul, and calls out to his dad saying, "Oh Dad, someone's watching me." And then the credits roll. Listen, I know that throughout this entire thing I was saying that this game isn't fun or it's not funny, and I still stand by that 100%. You'll have to kill me in order to change my mind about that. But even then, I'm glad I played this again, and I finally beat it after all these years. Sometimes there are things that happen to you that you wish you could change. You wish maybe that it never happened. But when you unclench your fists and open your eyes, you'll still be in the same place you were, even after all that wishing. It can be a little bit disheartening, the fact that life is a book only meant to be reread, not rewritten, as Shane Koizan said. But you can still give your past self, and in a way your present self, some small wins, and some big ones too. Continuing to live the way you want, trying to improve yourself, trying your best to be free is the best thing you can do for yourself if you ever want some revenge or avenging type deal going on. And by beating this shitty Simpsons game that my young self couldn't, I've given myself a small win. It's minuscule, emphasis on small, but it does stack up. And hopefully you can get some wins for yourself too. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment if you want, and overall, most importantly, thanks for sticking around this long if you've made it to this point in the video, and overall, thanks for being here, thanks for living. My name is FourheadWeapon or Katamari. You can call me whatever the fuck you want. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here on Retro Rematch.